Yeah.
Hey DNA family, welcome back to another video. So today I am finally making a video on my birth story. I kind of just wanted to share my experience and what I went through during my pregnancy, giving birth, and then my postpartum. I asked you guys on Instagram to send me some questions, and some of you did, so we're going to be doing that at the end of the video. I found out that I was pregnant maybe in January or February. The reason why I decided to get a test that day was because I had went to the doctor previously and they do like blood work and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, what if it showed up? And like I wanted to be the first to know, like if they were to call me and stuff. So that same day that I came back from the doctor, I think I got a test. And yeah, we were both pretty like happy about it. We kind of just decided sort of like on the spot, like, yeah, we're going through with this. So pretty much that same day we ended up telling my mom, and she was kind of like nervous at first, but she was happy. She was just nervous about like what we were gonna do and like how we felt about the situation. So she was just like a little bit nervous. She was like happy, but at the end of the day she was happy. So that any of that kind of stuff wasn't really an issue. I know that somebody asked in the Q&A like how our parents felt, and I guess I'm gonna answer this like question prematurely, but our parents were both like very happy and ecstatic about it. Like at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure like our parents care for us. We're old enough to kind of decide what we want in life, so there wasn't any like, oh, like you shouldn't have the baby. Like there wasn't any of that kind of like energy on either of our sides. So when I was pregnant, I never really got morning sickness besides when I wouldn't eat, and I would kind of get a little bit nauseous, and then I wouldn't want to eat because I'm nauseous, which was kind of annoying, but that's like the only morning sickness I ever got. I didn't really have any other pregnancy symptoms. I barely craved anything. I had maybe like 1 or 2 cravings, but like I have some videos like on the channel from when I was pregnant, and literally like everything was such a breeze for me. I do think my hormones were like very high, and so I was just crazy, but that's normal. Like because I had such a small frame, obviously my body changed so much. I did gain weight. I think pre-pregnancy I was 115 pounds, maybe 110 like on a week when I wasn't eating as much, but on a good week I would be 115. And so after pregnancy and during my pregnancy, I was about 145, reaching up to 150. I will say that when you are pregnant, make sure you get a good OBGYN, because I literally went through maybe 2 or 3 different ones, and like after my first experience with my first OBGYN, I literally did not want to go back to any OBGYN because I was like, I do not like her. I don't like her. I don't want to go anywhere anymore. And David was the one that convinced me to like find a new OBGYN, and he took me to Manhattan, and she was literally perfect. But my first one, she was like some like Russian lady, and she didn't want to give me an ultrasound, and I was already like past 4 weeks or something at this point, but she was like, oh, like I don't think you're that far along, we're not gonna give you an ultrasound. I had to pay like $200 out of pocket for her, and she didn't do anything. She did nothing. She did blood work that confirmed that I was pregnant, which I already knew, and it was just such a mess. So I didn't want to go back to her because I would have to pay out of pocket again every single time that I would have gone to an OBGYN checkup. So I was like, you know what, no. And that just ruined my whole experience, and I wanted to just stop there and just not go anymore and just stop, but I was convinced to go to another one. That's how you know like your hormones are just all over the place, because that literally just like set me off, and I was just like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want anything else to do with OBGYNs. But luckily I found my perfect one. During every OBGYN checkup, they do a lot of different tests. The reason why I say you have to get a good OBGYN is because things will get very personal, and if you're not comfortable with the person that is either going to deliver your baby, because some OBGYNs do deliver, but some of them don't. Mine didn't. If you're the type of person that wants a more intimate relationship with your OBGYN, then make sure you have a good one, or one that you like or you feel comfortable with. A lot of the appointments are kind of just like blood work, peeing in a cup. Sometimes they will check if you're dilated, how far along. You can deny cervical checks. They're not uncomfortable. Like, for me, it didn't hurt, but some people say it does hurt a lot. And so basically they just kind of like put their fingers up there and all the way up to your cervix and kind of try and see how dilated you are. But for me, it kind of didn't really hurt. Also, I was pregnant, I couldn't get certain vaccines. So if you're still in school, you have to kind of keep in mind like some vaccines that you cannot get because you're pregnant. Thankfully, it didn't stop me from going to school, but if there wasn't like an exemption or a medical reason, I probably wouldn't have been able to go to school. So yeah, but basically throughout my whole pregnancy, I was chilling. Like, I did an internship, I was working, like, so I worked as a vet tech, and that job is very hands-on. It can get very messy, it can get like a lot of heavy lifting, and I literally worked my first maybe 2 months while being pregnant, like heavy lifting dogs, like doing it all, and I was fine. David told me to tell you guys all the time that I was at the supermarket, and this was like maybe closer to the end of my pregnancy, and we were in the supermarket. I'm waiting online for David to come back, whatever, I'm with my mom too, but this lady comes along. Mind you, this is like during like peak pandemic, like when you're in a grocery store, or the one we were at, you have to wait on a line to get online, if that makes sense. So here's the registers, you wait all the way over here and they call you up. We're on that line, we go, whatever, we're on a register, and some lady comes up behind us, and she's like waiting behind us, and I don't say anything because I really could care less. Literally could care less. Like, I'm trying to leave, go home, like I'm tired. So, you know, David left already to go get something extra because he wanted like chips or something. And so I'm waiting online, whatever, and the lady comes behind me and she's like waiting there for a minute. And then she finally goes, "Oh, can I put this up here?" And I turn around and I'm like, no, not yet, like, not yet. And I said it nicely, like, you know, I said it nice. I'm not like, "Oh, not yet." Like, no, I said, "Oh, not yet." And so whatever, I turn back around, she puts everything on the floor, whatever. And then finally, you know, all the stuff is gone. And then she's like, "Oh, not yet, right?" I got so heated, it's not even funny. Like, I'm not one to like get mad or like start a fight in public, but I was so like, I was so over it. It just triggered me. Okay, that whole like, "Oh, not yet, right?" That shit lives in my head, literally, rent free. So I turn around and I look at her and I'm like, I didn't say anything. And so I walk behind her and I look for David, and at this point I'm pissed. So when David's coming back, he sees me look really, like, I'm looking really, really mad, and I'm like, "Come here now." And so he comes around and he puts his stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, that's why I said not yet." And then she and then she says some shit like, "Oh, like, you know, like typical like Karen shit," and she's like, "Oh, like, you don't own the store." And we kept going back and forth. And I just left. And I just left. Because I was like, you know what? We're not doing this. And she had like a thing of beer. And I'm like, she literally just had like a case of beer. And that was all she had. And she's like, she was just so eager to put it up. And when I'm saying not yet. So now, getting into the actual birthing process. I was 41 weeks pregnant when I gave birth. Now, when I was probably about 39 weeks, I was literally trying to get this baby out of me, like, as in many ways that I could. So I was drinking teas, I was trying to like eat different foods. I don't think I ate that many foods, but I ate spicy food like once. I curb walked a lot, and I danced. I did the mama dance thing, baby mama dance, and nothing worked besides me literally going to the hospital and getting induced. So it was crazy. And what I didn't know, like I was fine being pregnant. It's not like I wanted the baby out of me so badly because like I was like in pain or exhausted or anything. I just wanted him out because I wanted to like meet him already. First time moms usually go past their due dates. I was due October 6th. I didn't give birth until October 14th. So don't always expect to give birth on your due date. The thing about my OBGYN was that she did not deliver babies, and the hospital that she was affiliated with was in Brooklyn. So me and David wanted to go to a hospital that was like closer towards Long Island. Since my OBGYN was affiliated in Brooklyn, if she induced me, I would have had to go to the Brooklyn hospital. And we did not want to do that because we did not like that hospital. We did not know anything about that hospital. And his sister actually delivered at this hospital that we were trying to go to, so that's why we wanted to go there, because it was just like a really nice experience for her, and we wanted that for us too. I was supposed to be induced October 15th with my OBGYN, but October 13th and 14th, we were trying to get this baby out of me so badly, and it did not work. So we ended up going to the hospital that we wanted to go to, complaining of me having like cramps and stuff, and immediately they took me in because I'm 41 weeks pregnant. They're not gonna deny, if you were to do this, they won't deny you because you're full term. You can literally pop any second. If you're a first time mom, you don't know when you're gonna like give birth, so either way, like they have to accept you. So that day that we were choosing to get induced, I did not eat very well at all. We had Burger King, and we were going through like a Burger King phase, so I had Burger King that morning, and all I ate was like a little bit of the fries. I took maybe a bite of my sandwich, and it was just terrible. I had basically no food in my system at all. And so we arrived at the hospital, and number one, you had to find parking, whatever. We get to the hospital, we admit ourselves, sitting in triage for what seems like a good hour, maybe two, and they're taking my vitals, they're taking baby's vitals. They do our COVID tests. One of these poor mothers was sitting across from me, and she was waiting to get her epidural, and when she finally did, because she was in so much pain, she was saying like it wasn't working for her, and I got really like, I felt so bad for her because at this point I still wasn't in pain. Like I was chilling, but she was like, she's in so much pain, like she needs her epidural, she gets her epidural, it doesn't work. She's like, I knew I shouldn't have done this. Like a lot of people told me this would happen, and it's happening. I felt so bad, but I was like, you know, they took her, she left, so I was like, okay, like I can chill, like get that out of my head, like my epidural was gonna go fine, whatever. So I finally get induced. They start me off, they didn't want to start me off with Pitocin. So they gave like, they were using like a little pill, I don't know what it's called, but they were taking a pill, pushing it up to my cervix, and then like every couple hours they would put another one to see how dilated I am, put another one. And so after a while, when a room opened up, they moved me to the room I was gonna give birth in. And at this point, David had left to go get our stuff because we had already prepared. So all our stuff was in the car, but we pretended like we didn't bring anything, like we were just here. So all our stuff was in the car, he went to go get it. So in this moment, I'm alone in the room that I'm about to give birth in, and a nurse walks in. And she's like, oh, hi, like, how are you? Da 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 da, like, you're this, and that, whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, oh, like, your COVID test came back, and you're positive. And I'm like, are you serious? What? And so immediately I start like going crazy, and I'm like, there's no way. I start crying. I'm going crazy. Like literally, I'm so upset. I'm furious. I'm like, well, what's gonna happen now? Like, I was just so upset. And so she's like, finally David comes in, and then my mom comes in as well. And so she's like, yeah, he's negative, but I'm positive. And I'm like, well, how does that work? Like, what? That makes no sense. And my mom's negative as well because, you know, she, whatever. So my mom has to leave now because we can't have any visitors because now I have COVID and we can't have visitors every time they come in, they have to wear PPE, they have to dress up in PPE. So it was just like a whole process, and it made me so like upset, and literally I was just bawling tears, because like, I don't know what's gonna happen now. Like, is my baby sick? Like, I was just so like upset, and I was confused. So finally I'm laying down, everyone's left, whatever, it's just me and David, and my water breaks like almost immediately from this. I'm assuming my water broke so quick or something, because of like how crazy I was like acting. I don't know, because the whole time my water wasn't breaking or anything, but when I laid down, finally calmed down, my water literally just broke. And so I was like, okay, I guess this is actually happening. But immediately, because I'm so hysterical, I'm like, give me an epidural, because I just don't want to feel anything. I'm so sad. So I was just like, give me an epidural. I wasn't even in pain. I was just like, give me an epidural. Like, I don't want to feel anything. I'm so sad. And so whatever, I get my epidural like maybe like 10-20 minutes later. Finally, I'm getting close to 10 centimeters. And the thing is it's taking me really, really long to get to 10 centimeters. And at this point, I'm kind of just really, really over it. I'm very exhausted. I'm tired. I'm so drained. I'm fatigued. Like, I was so out of it. But I was diagnosed with preeclampsia. I'll leave what that is right here. But I was diagnosed with that because my blood pressure had spiked really, really high, like 2 different times. So they had to start me on like magnesium and stuff, and that makes you completely like out of it. But I don't think that was like after, until I gave birth. But either way, like the whole time I was just completely drained. I had only had ice chips, literally just cubes of ice for like maybe 10, maybe like 15 hours. I don't really know, but it was just like a really, really bad like experience, honestly. My epidural stopped working on my left leg, so I felt like all of my contractions in my left leg. Finally it comes time to pushing. I'm not feeling a thing besides the like contractions in my left leg. Finally comes time to pushing, and I'm doing great. Like, I get him out in like 30 minutes. Things good. They're stitching me up, you know, whatever, deliver my placenta. They gotta push down on your dang stomach. That thing hurts. It hurts a lot. That's when I started to like feel it a little bit more, is when they pushed on my stomach to like get out. I think they're trying to like get out like any blood clots or anything. I actually had a catheter placed as well, because when you have an epidural, you have a catheter to get rid of the urine, because obviously you can't get up to pee. So I had a catheter in, and that was literally the most uncomfortable thing I've ever felt in my whole life. You know, I didn't feel any pain. It's just I felt it, like I felt the cord next to my leg, and then I felt it like going up into like my bladder, I guess, whatever. Like, it was just such an uncomfortable experience. But yeah, after I give birth, everything is literally such a blur, because I was not present for literally the 2 nights that I was in the hospital. I was just not present. Like, I was literally either sleeping, or when I was awake, I was so loopy from the magnesium that I just wasn't there, you know? So David literally had to stay up for like almost 2 nights. He's delusional as well. He's sleep deprived. I'm, you know, out of my mind, and, you know, we have a baby to take care of. And so it was just such a crazy experience. I think it drained both of us. We got home and we were just completely drained. We needed time to like recoup and like, you know, get ourselves together. So I'm not gonna really talk too much about my postpartum. I will just say, if you want to go watch that video, I do talk about a lot of good products that I brought to the hospital, the products that I used after I gave birth. They're literally top tier products. I would most definitely use them again. So definitely make sure you're getting really, really good products for postpartum, because I feel like if you don't and you just use what the hospital gives you, or you just use like regular things, you're not going to be as comfortable as you may think you are, especially if you have stitches and stuff like that. So now I'm going to answer some questions that some of you guys left on my Instagram about my birthing and postpartum experience. Someone asked, how long did it take for me to heal after I gave birth? And it's kind of a tough question to answer because by 6 weeks you should be pretty healed and pretty much back to normal. But I don't think I felt completely normal until I was about maybe 2 months postpartum. So somebody asked what scared me the most about giving birth, and honestly, I was not scared to give birth the whole time that I was pregnant. Like when I got pregnant, giving birth was like the least of my worries. I didn't have many worries, but that was like the least. Pre-pregnancy though, I think the whole thought of giving birth scared me, but when I was pregnant and in the actual moment, I was not scared at all. That's my favorite thing about being a mom. I don't know, I feel like there's so many different things. Honestly, genuinely, there's so many different things that I love about being a mom. There's some really hard moments, but like, I don't know, for some reason, like when I see my son like smile or like laugh or something, like it makes me so happy. Like he's my favorite thing about being a mom. Like I wouldn't change him for anything else. Like I literally love my son so much, and it's like any little thing that happens or like certain moments that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do this with my son, or like I can't wait to experience this with my son. Like it's just everything now literally revolves around him. And yeah, I love that. I just love it. I feel like this life was kind of meant for me. The question is, what has changed after giving birth? I feel like my body has changed, my relationship has changed, my friendships have changed. I feel like a lot has changed, but I'm happy with the changes that have been made. Another question is, what are my favorite and least favorite things about pregnancy? My favorite thing about being pregnant was that literally everywhere I went, I got told that like my bump looked cute, I looked cute. How do I look so like good while being pregnant? Literally everywhere I went, I got compliments. People would stare at me. Like I think I looked really cute pregnant. Like I had a cute belly, like, and it was just cute. It was a cute moment. That was my favorite thing because it made me feel good about myself. My least favorite thing about being pregnant, yeah, probably my least favorite thing is the fact that half my clothes didn't fit me, half my cute clothes didn't fit me, and I literally had to wear the same things over and over at a certain point because nothing fit me. Somebody else asked, what would I recommend or tell a new parent? The thing I would tell to new parents is that the way that other people have parented doesn't mean that you need to parent the same way, or that you need to take their advice, or that you're doing it wrong because they did it a certain way or anything like that. Like you parent how you want to parent, and you do things that you want to do for your baby that makes sense to you. And if anybody oversteps their boundaries and says like, oh, you shouldn't do it like that, or they try to do it how they want to do it, put them in their place, because it's not their baby. You know, it's literally your baby. You gave birth to them, or you know, it's you and your partner's baby. Like, you know, don't let other people overstep their boundaries like that. Something else I would say is definitely be prepared for what is to come, because a lot of things will change and some people may not be ready for that. A lot of people go through a lot of trauma and a lot of depression and so many changes that, you know, it could affect a lot of relationships. And so just be ready for what could happen. Okay guys, so that's the end of today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy hearing about my whole birth story. I hope it shed some light on certain things that you guys were curious about. Hopefully I kind of went in depth. A lot of people didn't really ask anything too crazy, so I didn't really want to like overshare or anything like that. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you would like to see for future videos. I'll see you guys in the next video.